now?
Much better, much better.
Okay, awesome. All right. So, Kathy, you have recently been active in the fight to keep Weiss Memorial Hospital open. What is the issue?
The issue presently is that Pipeline, who owns Weiss Hospital, wants to have the parking lot of Weiss Hospital rezoned because it's zoned for medical uses, right? And they want to rezone it. They want to sell it to an international real estate company, Lincoln Property, who want to build on the parking lot right next to the hospital a high-rise luxury apartment, or I don't even know if it's condo or apartment unit. We're not clear on that yet. And we feel, first of all, that a high-rise luxury unit has no place in Uptown. Why do people keep building luxury units when affordable units are so much needed, particularly in Uptown? And there's an easy answer to that, why they do it. They do it because they are gentrifying, which means that they want to move out the poor people and move in the rich people. So what this will do is move in rich people. You can't imagine what they want for these units. I can't even imagine. I can't even quote it. They're so high. And what that's going to do is it's going to raise the property taxes around in the neighborhood and make it more unaffordable for people to stay there. We're particularly annoyed that the Alderman James Cappleman, is promoting this idea. He's been a big gentrifier in Uptown for some time now. And if you go through Uptown now, you will see high-rise units either up or going up. They just recently tore down the building at Broadway and Wilson, and they're going to build a high-rise there. So the plan is to move out the people who have lived in Uptown all their lives, to price them out and move them out and just have rich people there. We're kind of annoyed. I'm particularly concerned about Weiss Hospital itself. Pipeline, who owns the hospital and the parking lot right now, is not trustworthy at all. They said, well, they said it on a paper, we will not sell the hospital. That's all they said. We won't sell it. They said nothing about demolishing it and building another high-rise unit there. And Pipeline has a long history of not being trustworthy at all. We don't believe them at all, and we feel that the hospital is under threat. We feel that the economic stability of Uptown is upset. I think the plan is to do something about the Wilson entrance to DuSable Drive. I think it's going to be removed. I'm not sure if the plan goes through. So now there's going to be more traffic over there. Clarendon Park is finally getting a rehabilitation. Clarendon Park is right there. And it's been like, it's actually been falling down. And they're finally going to fix it. So they're going to fix the park, and then they're going to build this skyscraper in front of it. It just doesn't make any sense at all. The building that they propose just doesn't fit what's going on there on Marine Drive. I'm very upset.
This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM, and we have with us Kathy Powers, a community activist, discussing the planned demolition of the parking lot of Weiss Memorial Hospital to build a high-rise luxury unit building. Kathy, do you have any data about how many units of affordable housing have been removed and how many luxury apartments have come in?
I don't have those statistics. I'm just focused right now on Weiss Hospital. Mm-hmm. I know for like the past 10 years, I know affordable units, like for people who really have nothing at all. They have very limited income.
Yes.
They've lived in SROs, which are standing room only buildings. They have one room, and like they have to go down the hall to use a bathroom, share a kitchen. And the alderman has one by one sold those buildings and made the people move out. Of particular interest is the Lawrence house on Lawrence. It was bought by the Flats people, and it was converted into a luxury unit. It was an SRO, and they converted it to a luxury unit.
But it was bought by the what people? The Platts people? I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, the building was bought by whom?
Well, Flats. Flats.
Oh, Flats.
And I can't think of what the commercial name is. Flats buys residential property, and their parent buys the commercial property, but they're two in one, and I can't think of their name.
That's
maybe
okay.
Tomorrow. I'm getting old.
Well, anyway, just a heads up for our listeners. Standing room only is Kathy's tongue-in-cheek for single room occupancy units.
Right.
And earlier you mentioned that the Weiss Memorial Hospital was bought by Pipeline, and it was previously owned by Lincoln Property?
No, it was owned by Tenant Healthcare.
Okay.
Who dumped all of their hospitals, all of their safety net hospitals. I think they're totally out of Chicago now, and they sold it to Pipeline. Mm-hmm. Pipeline is a private equity business, and they see healthcare, they see hospitals as a money-making prospect. They have no interest in the people's health at all. They want to make money. They want to make money
out of medical services, or do they want to make money out of the real estate and create luxury apartments?
I would think it's the real estate. So they'll start with the parking lot, and then they'll say that the hospital isn't economically viable. And then because they own the property. I mean, there's nothing you can do. It's a private company. They own the property, and they'll do what they want with the hospital.
If they have promises in writing, they could renege on those promises without any consequences?
Well, if the alderman has his way, they won't have any consequences at all. Let me tell you kind of the history of Pipeline, who owns the property in the Chicagoland area. Mm-hmm. Pipeline blew into town a few years ago, and they bought Westlake Hospital in Melrose Park. They bought West Suburban Hospital in Oak Park, and they bought Weiss Hospital in Chicago. And within a few months of closing the deal on Westlake Hospital, they closed the hospital. Boom. Nobody even, they said, oh, you know, it's not making any money. Well, no, it wasn't making any money. Westlake was a safety net hospital that served poor people, and they weren't in business to make money. They were in business to give health to people, to offer health services to people. So what happened with that was that Melrose Park sued Pipeline, and they said that Pipeline had fraudulently proposed that they, you know, that they were going to, you know, add money to Westlake Hospital, improve health services. And then, of course, what they did was they just closed the hospital, and they were going to do that all along. So they sued and they won. They won $1.5 million from Pipeline, which is chump change to them. Let me tell you, Pipeline had deep pockets. The owner of Pipeline, CEO, is a close friend of Barack Obama. So these things just spin out, and they spin out. It's a political money thing. So now Melrose Park has $1.5 billion and no hospital, no safety net hospital.
Is that 1.5 million or 1.5 billion?
Million.
1.5 million.
M
Okay.
with an M.
Okay.
What has happened now, I've been, you know, keeping up in the news. It looks like they have found a company to buy Westlake Hospital, so it may be open. They reopened Westlake Hospital briefly for COVID treatment, but that, you know, that didn't last very long.
Do you know who was in charge of?
Told them, don't close the hospital. And like the day after that came out, they were shipping medical equipment out of the hospital. They weren't letting patients be admitted, and so they had to pay a contempt of court fee. They don't care. Yeah, they just do what they want. That's why we don't trust them. They're gonna, you know, and the property, that's lakefront property, that's prime property. And, you know, living on the lakefront is like a big deal in Chicago, right?
Yes. They made promises, and then they still own it, or did they have to relinquish their title rights to Westlake because of losing the lawsuit?
Well, about the homeless, okay, they closed all these SROs. These people who had very little money, you know, paid like maybe $200 a month for their room, or I don't know what they paid, but they're in the street now. The homeless population has grown exponentially. And then if you think about down the line, when the eviction moratorium is lifted, the people owe all this back rent because they haven't been able to work or something. I can't even fathom what that's going to look like. It's going to be terrible. And we don't need luxury units, Trudy. We just don't need them. Now, according to the ARO, the ordinance that says that you have to have a certain percentage of affordable units if you're going to build residential units. Eight units. So I think there's like 450 or something units proposed. 8 units will be affordable, which really doesn't cover the percentage anyway. What is considered affordable is like $3,000, $4,000 a month. That's affordable. That's what they think is affordable. That's totally insane. So with the SROs closing, you know, and all the homeless there, you know, it's kind of a slap in the face. It kind of just shows what Chicago thinks about homeless people. The tent cities are right across the street from Weiss Hospital, under the Wilson Viaduct and under the Lawrence Viaduct. And the homeless people need that hospital to survive at all. And already the push is on to remove the tent cities. When we had that terrible rainstorm a couple weeks ago, the tents were flooded. They lost almost everything that they had. They had to empty out their tents because they were full of water. And don't you know, the city decided to do a cleaning right then. Which they asked for a week to be able to clean up, because anything when they do these cleanings that's left in the tunnel, they have to drag everything they own out for these cleanings. If anything that's left, the city throws in a big sanitation truck and drives their stuff away. They can't get it back. So this affordable thing, it's a slap in the face to the people who are relying to survive from Weiss Hospital in the tent cities. And, Cappleman's been pushing to get them out forever with these incessant cleanings. Hashtag. These are not cleanings. These are it's harassment. That's what it is. It's harassment. And now the community, when we hear about these cleanings, we go out and we make our presence known. We take pictures to make sure that the city doesn't take over the homeless people's rights. They can't do it with an audience. They just can't do it. And we're there. And we're there for Weiss Hospital.
When Westlake Hospital had to be reopened to take care of the COVID patients,
right?
At that time, who had title to the hospital? Was it still in Pipeline's hands?
Oh, Pipeline did. Pipeline still did, and they went begging to the state and the feds for more money to run the hospital, because, gee, we're operating at such a loss. You gotta help us. Pipeline is so rich you wouldn't even believe it. But that, anything for a buck. Mm-hmm. I'm going to call that Pipeline the anything for a buck company. A new name for them.
So right now, Weiss Memorial Hospital is still open. And what are the conditions under their ownership?
Well, how Pipeline has pitched it is, we're going to take the profits that we get from the sale of the parking lot, mm-hmm. and we're going to improve Weiss Hospital. We're going to put behavioral care in there. We're going to put maternity care. We're just going to really make this a spiffy hospital. And let me tell you, these private equity firms, I did research on them, are all over the country. They're buying up hospitals and using them however they want to use them, certainly not for health. Hahnemann Hospital, it's a real big hospital in Philadelphia, and that's what happened to them. And not only does the community lose access to quick health care. What if you have a heart attack? What if you have a stroke? What if you almost drown in the lake? I mean, these are possibilities on the lakefront. You're going to have to travel across the city somewhere. You're going to have to go down to Thorpe at Irving Park. You're going to have to go to Swedish Covenant over in California. Maybe you'd even have to go into Evanston to St. Francis. There's not a whole lot out there for people to go. We need this hospital. It's got to be exactly where it is, and it'd be great. It'd be great if they actually did what they said they're going to do, but we don't believe a thing that they say. they're also they tried a couple of times to get West Suburban closed down. Now West Suburban is on Oak Park, but it's on Austin. And Austin on the Oak Park side is middle class, and Austin on the east side is incredibly poor people. So West Suburban treats these incredibly poor people because they're right there in the community, and Westlake doesn't like it because they're not making money from it. They're not making money, and Don Harmon, who is he's the president of the General Assembly Senate. That's his territory, and he's liberty's, that West Suburban cannot go. It's got to stay, and I hope it does because I have family who uses West Suburban. Yeah. So this is pipeline. This is pipeline. Buy, sell, make a profit. Buy, sell, make a profit. In the meantime, all the health areas around, which are probably already at capacity anyway, have the extra burden of the population in Weiss Hospital. I mean, I'm talking I'm not even talking about the parking lot. I'm talking about Weiss Hospital because the writing's on the wall. If anybody doesn't see it, I'll give them lessons. I'll give them lessons on what's really going to happen to Weiss Hospital. It's truly under threat. And this is kind of our line in the sand to stop the gentrification by taking away our community hospital. Safety net hospitals treat the most vulnerable communities, and they face dire financial strain because they treat people who don't have insurance or don't have enough insurance. And I'm going to throw in something. They're not getting paid a lot by private companies who send their people there. And I'm particularly talking about the managed care companies who send people like to the hospital, and they simply don't pay them. They just don't pay them. And
what do you mean they don't pay them?
They're supposed to pay for the people in their network to go to this hospital. Mm-hmm. And they go to the hospital and accumulate a bill, and the managed care company is supposed to pay for it because that's their contract with the hospital. So, and they don't.
What do you mean their contract is to not pay, or they don't have to pay?
The contract is that you will offer health services for people in our network, and we will pay for it. Mm-hmm. And they don't. I've been doing research on that too. And the managed care companies mostly are under these Medicare Advantage plans that you see Joe Namath trying to sell on all these commercials. And the Advantage plans, they sound real good. Oh, you're going to get hearing aids, you're going to get dental care, you're going to ride to your doctor's appointment. But when it comes to if you get sick, the managed care companies are not going to cover you. And I think it's outrageous that they're even allowed to exist because they are private insurance companies. That's what they are. They ensure that, you'll be covered for this or that. And not for much, Trudy, not for much.
So do you have information that they are able to flout the rules and they do not pay the managed care companies? They do not pay their bills, and they don't have to suffer any repercussions. They don't have to pay any fines or judgments for reneging on their promise to pay.
Well, I would hope it's a legal matter between two private companies, right? And because these hospitals are owned by private companies, so the government has no say in it. It's a legal matter, and legal costs are very expensive, and these hospitals, I think, should be suing these managed care companies for non-payment. You know, if it was you or I that didn't pay our bill, they'd be on the phone every day and being real nasty to us and telling us to pay their bill and that they're going to take our firstborn child if they don't pay. I mean, the debt collectors are really nasty. A lot of us know that, but they don't do that to companies, right? They don't do it to companies, and I think they should.
Do you know the percentage of bills that are not paid to the managed care plans? Is it all of it or most of it? Any idea about how much?
I have no idea. It's a lot, Trudy. I really think it's a lot. I don't know. I keep telling people, don't get the advantage plans. Just don't. Get straight Medicare if that's what you want to get. If you're entitled to Medicare. The managed care companies. Medicaid had a thing when you apply for Medicaid. They ask you to join a managed care company. And the reason why is it's a private company, and then the government doesn't have to pay for it. The private company has to. And on the back of the form, Trudy, there's only one question on there. And it's a one-liner, and it says, I choose to opt out of managed care. Well, Kathy Eagle Eye saw that and checked that, and so I don't have a managed care company. I have Medicare, I have Medicaid, I have a homemaker service because I have Parkinsonism, and I just can't do things, and they need help. And home care services are really wonderful. I think I already talked to you about the nursing homes and the horrible thing, the death in nursing homes. And by the way, the figures are going up in nursing homes. I've been watching them because people can't space out. They're just trapped there. And most people think, I can't say what most people think because I don't know what people think. It always surprises me. But the focus is that the nursing homes are there for seniors who are on their last leg and need extra services, but they can't be in the hospital. Well, that's not true. That's not true at all. The disability community, there's a lot of people who have disabilities who do need extra help. But that can be done with home care services. They can live in their own place, have their own life. They're not told when to go to bed, and they're not told that, they got to stay in because of the COVID. They have their own life, and they have personal assistants who come in and help them beyond belief, and they have their own life. And these nursing homes continue to thrive. There's laws, there's consent decrees saying, you got to help these people get out of the nursing homes. It's being ignored, just like the police consent decree is ignored. They have all these laws that aren't being enforced. And there's no overseers, and the nursing homes are mostly run by private companies who want to make a profit. It's a cash cow for them.
So you were saying that what law is not being enforced, and what are no consequences? What was that concerning Medicaid? Are you saying that for the home services that they are not being provided by the managed care, or what did you mean by that?
Interestingly, when you apply and you get home care services, you get a determination of need score. You know, they ask you questions about how you function and, you know, what you need. And that's called a DON score, D-O-N, determination of need.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in a managed care company, which you probably have been bamboozled into, the managed care companies, I hear from the disability community, they are not providing the amount of services that the state says that they can get. And it just doesn't, nobody's watching it, nobody cares. The problem is with the nursing homes, there's no oversight. There's no oversight.
Okay, and then for the managed care companies, when they do not pay their bills, then does the hospital continue providing patient care, or do they cut off the patient?
I think legally they have to. They have to continue offering services because that's a contract. But you know, they would have to sue to get their money. I think maybe, you know, some of them say, okay, we're not contracted with you anymore, which kind of explains why people in, you know, in the system trying to get health care, they will see a doctor or something and say, oh, well, this doctor's in the network. Well, maybe that doctor's not in the network anymore. And that doctor's not in the network anymore because they haven't been paid. You can't blame them. You can't blame them for that. The hospitals, getting back to Weiss, that are owned by these for-profit agencies, they encourage unnecessary surgeries so they can make more money. That's all they're up. That's all they're about. And I say that one more cent from Uptown pipeline, you're not getting it from us. You're not getting the hospital. You're not getting parking lot. And we've been out there. We've been protesting. Our next move is the approval of the zoning has to go to the Lakefront zoning commission, and that's different than the zoning commission in the city council. And
the Lakefront has its own zoning commission. Is that what you meant?
Right, and a lot of us have signed up to testify. We sent in written testimony, and it's called the Lakefront Protection Ordinance. And it has very specific things that they look at, kind of the same things I'm looking at. You got brand new Clarendon Park. You got people who may drown. You have a community thing. You don't have any high rises there. The biggest building is Lakeview Towers, and that's kind of off to the side. They, by the way, they weren't allowed to vote in Cappleman's zone. He had his own zoning committee, and the zoning committee was, you know, it was a laugh. They were all white gentrifiers. There's a whole zoning committee, and anybody who wanted, and anybody in Uptown, block clubs or whatever, supposedly they'd be able to be on the zoning board, and for one reason or another, they were excluded. So the vote came out in Cappleman's zoning committee, kind of 50-50. And so he said, well, it's so close, I'll have to make the decision. And guess what his decision was?
Okay. So when they,
I think that we should rezone that parking lot and build that building. That's what he said. He said, I'm promoting it.
So when the zoning commission comes out with any findings, and then if the, let's say, Weiss Hospital gets to build the parking lot, and they said that they will use the funds for that parking lot to improve the hospital, there's no enforcement on their premises. After after they get the parking lot, they could totally not apply that money toward the hospital, and they would not be penalized for that, right?
Right. They can't be trusted. I have three pages of they're just links to articles about Pipeline's bad behavior and how you can't trust them. And I'm going to submit it to the committee too.
Well, who was selected for the committee? Who selects who sits on this committee?
You know, I don't know. Well, wait. Who's on the Lakefront Ordinance Committee?
Is it the aldermen among themselves selecting who is going to sit on that committee, or does the mayor appoint members, other persons to a committee?
I don't think the mayor touches the Lakefront Committee, the Planning Commission. I don't know.
So Planning Commission is separate from the Chicago City Council then?
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
They get first bid on what happens.
You mean they give the response first about what could or could not go into a building. Whether a building can be built or not is up to them.
They oh my God, they have a lot of provisions. I got the link open right now. They have a lot of things about having to do with the waterway, the health and safety for landslide and water users. You know, what will be the effect on the lake with the high rise? Right, you know, it's a block away from the lake. It's a block away from the lake. You know, how will that affect the lake? The lake that is continually rising. I mean, it's, you know, probably wipe out the park that's there eventually. You know, if we don't do something, I don't know what we're going to do about it. And they have specific guidelines about high rises. They want a green design. So the green design for this new building that they propose is on top of the building. That's the green design. It's very aesthetic, right? You can't see it at all.
A rooftop garden, you mean?
Pardon me?
A rooftop garden?
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's their green space. They won't really have any open space. How could they have any open space? It's it's going smack against the hospital in the parking lot. And let me tell you that the hospital uses that parking lot for medical purposes, especially during the pandemic. That's where they put up the tents for testing and vaccination. And that's where they have a box where they store corpses. I mean, they use that parking lot. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do if the parking lot's gone? What are they going to do for that? I want to know.
What about the zoning commission? What enforcement power do they have? Let's say they do agree to a plan, and then when the parties to that plan do not follow the plan, what enforcement power does the zoning commission have?
Okay, well, after it goes through the Lakefront Planning Commission, if the Lakefront Planning Commission says, yeah, okay, then it goes to the zoning committee on city council. Oh. And then that committee decides what they want, and they propose it to the full city council who votes on it.
And then again, who are the members of the zoning committee? How do you have any idea about how members, other people are selected for committee seats?
Okay, they're appointed by the mayor, and the head of the zoning committee in city council is James Cappleman. How do you think that vote's going to go?
Okay, so the chair of every committee is appointed by the mayor, and the chair selects the people who are going to sit on the committee.
Well, you know, what we're doing, we're encouraging people to write their alder people, because if it does come down to a city council vote, you know, we need the support of our city council, and and a lot of the aldermen aren't concerned about something that's not in their ward, but they should be, and I'll tell you why they should be, because we need safety net hospitals. We need them. We need them. Who's going to take care of the poor? We're just going to have people like out dying in the street. We almost do now, actually. We really do. We got to have these safety net hospitals, and they're not going to be making money. This is my call for Medicare for all. For all, everybody, all the places will be paid for by the government. And there won't be any of this nonsense going on. None. Healthcare is a human right.
What you mean is that for Medicare for all, there won't be any profit involved. It will just be services, almost like nonprofit organizations overseeing healthcare.
Well, no, not like a nonprofit, because nonprofit organizations are still tied to, they still have to make a small profit to keep going. Mm-hmm. If it's Medicare for all, there's no profit involved. People get services at point of service. When they walk in the door, they get a service. Doesn't matter where they are, what state they're in. There's a lot of things that go on where, like, if I got sick in Indiana, Medicaid, Illinois Medicaid wouldn't cover me in Indiana. And I could be in Indiana. I could be at the casinos going crazy, gambling or something, you know. With Medicare for all, none of that, none of these barriers would be there. Every citizen would get, and everybody, every person, I'm not even go citizen wise, every person would get health care. Every person.
Is there?
People say, how are you going to pay for that? Well, how are we paying for it now? We're paying for it with inflated hospital rates. We're paying for it by not getting care and having a sick population. It's, you know, it just doesn't make sense to me, Trudy. It just doesn't. So.
Is there any model is there anywhere in the country where they have a system that is similar to Medicare for all and is working?
I think there is one, but I really don't know. So I won't even talk about it, but yeah, there's, you know, it's certainly small, whatever it is.
So are there any countries that have health services for all, and how do the citizens in those countries fare? Okay,
it's universal health care, which means care for everybody. And every developed nation other than the United States has it. And you know, they don't have the problems that we have. They don't have private companies going in and making a profit. And It's certainly working out better than it is for us. We have now, the statistics say, we have like the worst healthcare in the world. Like, what? What? How can that be? How can that be? Well,
so the firms that hospitals that help provide universal health care in other countries, they don't make a profit. They're just like a service then, with people working and getting paid, but no profit for some entities.
Right, because it's the government that's paying for it. Government doesn't make profit. Government is the government, and they don't make profit.
So it's just
you have the services and you have the government as a payer. That's it. Pretty simple, I think.
So the only thing that's standing between the universal health care in the United States are the individuals and the corporations that want to keep it for profit so that they could make money, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's very well put, Trudy. Write that down and post it on Facebook. That's a good one.
Well, we have the interview recorded on Zoom, and we will share the video and the interview and our interview with you all around.
That's wonderful. And I have something additional. On July 24th, on a Saturday at 11 a.m., the city is anybody interested in Medicare for all. We're having a march, and we're starting out at Mackie Daly Park on Randolph, and we're going to march downhill. We're going to march down Michigan Avenue, and we're going to go down to Federal Plaza, have a few short speeches. And why we are doing this is countrywide. This is not just Chicago, but I'm inviting everybody who wants to come, because we as the mass of people have to let our legislators know that this is what we want, and this is what we're going to get because the people want it. And we're the important part. They're not the important part. The people are the important part.
Any elected officials who agree with you and who are helping to implement Medicare, universal health care, or Medicare for all?
There are a few, not enough. Every day somebody else signs on. It's not in Illinois though. Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth, they won't even sign an agreement that they won't take lobby money from insurance companies and big pharma. We've asked them to sign that pledge and they won't do it. So that lets you know where they are.
So you don't have enough allies to help you in this cause, and it has to be on a federal level. Are there any programs that more local levels could implement? Have you done any research on that?
We have organizations all around and about, like in Illinois. I'll say I can only talk about what I know in Illinois, in the Chicago area. I'm on the Illinois Single Payer Coalition, and we've been in business for a while. And we've been mostly we've been doing outreach about why and how universal health care works. Just like I just told you, you have the services and you have the government pay for it. Boom. Because the government's paying for it eventually anyway. Having sick people, having people with mental illness in the jails, in the prisons, because they're mentally ill, which is not a crime as far as I know, but they're springing the bill. They're springing the bill for the welfare anyway. So wouldn't it be wonderful if they had services so people, first of all, wouldn't get so sick and get in crises, and not be in prison, which is a terrible, terrible place. It would be wonderful. And we're paying the bill. We're housing them in the prisons and the jails. You know, I think it's I think our money could be spent better on treatment, not trauma.
You mentioned earlier that the managed healthcare, they do not get paid for their services. Then are they still in business then? If they are, and they're not getting their any payments, how do they survive?
Oh, the managed healthcare does get payment because people pay premiums to be in the managed care companies.
Hmm.
That's where they get their money. They pay premiums. They promise that you know they have case workers and they have managers and they tell people, you know, where they can go, where their network is, and where they can get services. And then they turn around and they don't pay the hospitals or the services. They keep the money. They keep that money.
I see.
So they're making money too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the managed healthcare, they're making profits, but they're not paying the hospitals. Then what about the hospitals? Do they what funds do they have to continue services if the managed healthcare plans are not paying them? And do you know the percentage of Medicare patients?
No, I don't know the percentage, but I know it's high. I read an article in the New Yorker, and they were talking all about these vulture private equity firms cashing in on the hospitals. Mm-hmm. So the hospitals aren't getting paid, and they you know they get bankrupt is what they do, and then the vulture private equity firms like Pipeline swoop in and buy them, say, oh, we're going to fix everything. We're going to invest in the hospital. Things are going to be so much better. We're going to make up for the losses. And then they do what they want, Trudy. They can't be trusted. They do what they want.
So, so what you meant was that managed healthcare plans do not pay the hospitals that were originally just hospitals. What about now, since they are bought by the owner is Pipeline?
Right.
Are they? Is it the same deal? They're not getting paid for any of the services that they provide to patients at Weiss Hospital, let's say.
I think, but I don't know. This is just me thinking, doing some critical thinking, that if the managed care company has a record of not paying the hospital, when Pipeline comes in, because it's a new owner, they can just discontinue the contract with the managed care company. And then the people who have paid their premiums to the managed care companies have to really scramble to find some health care somewhere. It's terrible, Trudy.
And that happened, right? That did happen? It always happens. Mm-hmm.
Happens all the time.
And now for individuals, so when they sign up for managed health plans, do they have any idea whether hospitals, which hospitals have them in their system and which hospitals have discontinued that plan and they are not covered at certain hospitals?
It's my feeling, because I didn't go through the managed care process, so I didn't do this, but I would imagine that when you go to a managed care company and you say, well, if I pay you these premiums, what can you offer? And they'll say, well, we have Weiss Hospital in our folder. You can go to Weiss Hospital. You can go to here. You can go to here. This doctor is in. And this doctor's in. And this, they sell it. They sell it, and people buy it. And then, you know, due to bad behavior on somebody's part, it could be, you know, it could be the hospital, it could be the owner of the hospital, it could be the managed care company not paying. Somebody's bad behavior kind of ruins the whole thing, and the contracts are terminated. And then like people in managed care companies will go to these places if they think they're going to get services, and they can't get their services there because they're, oh no, they're not in our network anymore. I think you've heard people say, oh, it's not in our network anymore, and it changes every day. Every day, somebody's finding out that they're not going to get services that they thought they were going to get. Every day.
This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM, and we have with us at Wizard via Zoom, Kathy Powers, community activist, discussing Weiss Hospital and patient care or patient non-care.
Oh, Trudy, you're great. Hospitals in the US are estimated to be closing at a rate of about 30 a year. Most closures happen for financial reasons in places where there are relatively few privately insured patients. And that would be, you know, the places at risk, the BIPOC communities who, you know, they're struggling. And now these vulture private equity firms have decided that hospitals are a business like any other business. And at least a fifth of the hospitals are now run for profit, a fifth. And globally, private equity investment in healthcare has tripled since 2015.
Mm-hmm. When patients have to change their managed health plan because they're not covered anymore, let's say at Weiss Hospital, what if they cannot find any, and then and let's say it's not at the time of their renewal, not at the year's end, are they able to change providers if it's not the renewal time when they could change providers?
That's a good question, Trudy. There are some that can find places that will take them at the non-renewal time, but a lot can't. That's what happens. It's horrible. It's horrible. And so people can't get care.
And do patients find that plans do not want to take them because they know that they will be getting care at the Weiss Hospital, let's say, and they know that there are problems there, and that well, let's put it this way: do you have any idea about the managed care plans? Are there any available that do pay hospitals, or is it are there none practically?
No, I'm sure there are, because otherwise I just don't think that they, you know, they could even do that anymore. Actually, the government Medicare site will offer advantage plans, and advantage plans mean managed care companies. Mm-hmm. And managed care companies are insurance companies, and they're in it for profit. So they're going to not give their people as much as they're entitled to. And I don't know if you could, like, if you were there, if you had an insurance policy, and like say you had a car insurance policy, and you were in an accident, and the insurance company is supposed to cover your damages, but they don't. Well, you don't have a whole lot of choices. You can, you know, just terminate your plan. And I don't I would ask for my premiums back. I would take them to court. I would do that. But people aren't going to go to that trouble. Now that's a car accident. That's, property damage. And not talking about much of anything. This is health. Health is not a commodity. Health is a human right. Health is something that everybody needs. And the government, so far, in my estimation, is not doing a good job in providing health care for everybody. The ACA did get more people insured, but a whole bunch of people are still not insured, and they're still paying insurance companies, and the insurance companies are still making a profit. I think anybody who insures somebody for health should not be in it to make a profit. Make a little profit to keep you going, maybe, but not like what's going on. Trudy, we're talking millions and billions of dollars. And during the pandemic, it's been like they've been making triple the amount of money. And then they go crying to the government saying, this hospital isn't making enough money and we need more money.
So when the managed care plans do not pay, then the hospitals just drop that plan from, drop their participation in the plan. So that is why the consumer, if they wanted to stay at continue having care at the Weiss Hospital, they would have to find another plan, is what you said, what you meant, right?
That's right. And if I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you go into like a doctor's office or even a hospital, they'll have a list of insurance plans they don't take. A big list, big list. So, you're looking
at the list is bigger than the list that they would take.
Right. And so getting back to Little Weiss Hospital, we don't want to lose Weiss Hospital because it's the safety net for Edgewater, for Uptown, for Lakeview, and a few little surrounding areas, so that the collar areas. So, that's a lot of people. They're important people. The poor people, to me, are more important than the rich people because the rich people can always get what they want. They can always get what they want because they have the money, they have the power. And the little guy, we have to fight for the little guy because they need help. That's the way I feel.
When you said that to sign witness slips and testify at the commission, and do you have information about when the commission will hold the hearing, and then afterwards when the zoning committee will hold its hearing, and then later the full city council vote? How transparent is the agenda for these meetings? Do you have idea? Do you have any idea about when this topic comes up in any meeting?
Okay, the planning commission is meeting this Thursday. I'll be downtown. Yes, I will. But they're not meeting in person. But we're having a little rally outside City Hall first. And then at 10 o'clock or whatever time they're going to meet, I always have to look at my calendar, Trudy. I never know what I'm doing every day. The planning commission will meet then. Now, last week I asked to testify, and I haven't gotten an answer yet whether I can even speak. And we have 2 to 3 minutes. So I'll have to. Maybe I'll take your sentence. I'd like your sentence that you wrote down. I said, that's a good one. I had to be brief and to the point. That's kind of hard for me, but I will do it. And I don't know yet because they haven't let me know if I'm going to be able to testify or not. They're going to wait till the very last minute. They always do. And then I don't know when the next zoning committee, the City Hall zoning committee is going to meet, but I'm sure we'll be out there advocating for our people, for Weiss Hospital. And you know, this is not just a parking lot, Trudy. This is a community hospital. This is a threat to poor people, and this is another step in gentrification.
When they mentioned that if in order to build more housing units, what they said that building more housing units, including luxury units, helps to stabilize rents. Did they mention what they meant by that? Because it was one of the points in the Alderman Cappleman letter to his constituents.
Well, he has his facts in, of course.
Kathy, your volume just went down. Could you restore your volume?
Pardon me?
Yes, restore your volume, because your volume went down by 90% just now.
Oh, maybe that's, well, gee.
So go into your settings and next to the mute button, check your microphone. Oh, that's okay. I think it was my mistake. Somehow Kathy, I mistakenly moved the lever.
Oh, okay. I think we were kind of breaking up there for a second, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of froze a little bit for a second.
Okay, but we are back now. And the question was about the meeting, when the committee meeting will be, and that, and also how can people know what's on the agenda? Because we had the experience before when I during my first day of my internship at the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, we noticed that we have to wait, and there isn't any. It's very hard to find the indication of what is on the agenda. There are only numbers, and how can we access the code for the numbers?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it's not easy, Trudy, because you have to go to the City of Chicago site, cityofchicago.org, I believe it is. And then you have to find it. You have to find it. It's really, really hard. They have to post any public meetings that they're having, which these committee meetings are, 48 hours in advance. So, and they will wait for the 48th hour before they post it. But they have to put it up there. They have to follow the Illinois Open Meetings Act. They have to do that.
Because we did get a copy of the agenda, and there really wasn't any indication of when the item that we wanted to testify at was happening. Only a set of numbers, like about 5 numbers. How could citizens find the code as to what those numbers represent?
The people who are in the know, who are going to be doing the voting, not us little people. We're not privy to a lot of information, but they know. Now we have some friends in City Council, of particular Byron Joe Lopez. He's got his finger in every pie. What a wonderful, wonderful advocate he is. And we in fact are in touch with him about about the Weiss Hospital thing. We got, you know what, Trudy? We're probably at the end of this interview, but we have to talk about vaccinations and school openings next time.
Mm-hmm. And Joe Lopez is in what ward?
Pardon me? Oh, he's, I don't know.
That's okay. It's that information is easy to find. I could just look it up right now.
What a wonderful guy.
So is he your only ally for this? Is he helping also on the Weiss hospital issue? He's likely not one of the older people sitting on the zoning committee, or is he?
I don't believe he is, but if we send him stuff, whatever we want to send him, he makes sure that it gets to where it needs to go to. So that's good to know. My alderman, Maria Happy in Rogers Park, she's always a promoter for healthcare, and you know, I haven't talked to her about this, but you know what? After we finish this, I'm gonna tell her office right away, because I'm pretty sure that she's not happy about this. Senator Mike Simmons, he's our new General Assembly senator in our area up here. He lives in Uptown, and he's come out to our protests, and he doesn't like this either. He doesn't like this one bit.
What can he do in his position? And before we leave the subject, is it Byron Sichel Lopez? That's the alderman that you meant, right?
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He's our go-to guy.
Yes, I think he's in the 25th ward.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, so Mike Simmons, he said that he will support this cause. What in his position, what could he do?
He can, well, what he's doing for us is to make sure that whatever information we send, it goes to where it needs to go, because he knows the inner workings of city council. Now, I would imagine, the mayor hasn't, I don't even know if the mayor knows, but James Cappleman knows, and he's one of the mayor's rubber stamps. So meaning that he'll vote for anything that she says. Mm. So I would imagine that she would take his side. And in this city, what the mayor wants is what the mayor gets. Mm-hmm. Or she'll pull you aside and stick her finger in your face and yell at you.
For Mike Simmons, did he work for a time in city government so that he knows its intricacies so much?
He's in the state government. He's new. I don't know anything really about him. I know he was an activist, so in the past, but that's about all I know about him. He took Heather Stain's seat. Mm-hmm. That's who he is. And he comes out for our stuff, and we're very grateful that he's out there. I don't believe that the state has any say in what happens in the city government.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So does he advise you, or how does he help in the Weiss Hospital situation? State Senator Mike Simmons.
He comes out and he protests like us. Mm-hmm. He speaks. He talks about gentrification, and we need more people like that. They don't have to be, anybody who sees what the threat of gentrification is. There was an affordable unit built at 5150 Northwest Highway. And there was a big kerfuffle, and the alderman lost her seat, and the people didn't want affordable units there because those people would move in, you know, those people. And it turned out that there were, I think there were like 150 units, and 7,000 people applied for it, including some of the one who didn't want those people in. So that just kind of showed you how what a lack of affordable housing we have. We need a push. We really need a push to have affordable housing built. And people don't want to build affordable housing because they're not going to make a lot of money off of it. And I think that's a shame.
So does Mike Simmons and Byron Cicho Lopez, do they work together?
No. Byron Cicho Lopez is city. Mike Simmons is state of Illinois.
I understand, but sometimes
never the twain shall meet, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine Kelly Cassidy doesn't like this either. You know what happened in Rogers Park as far as COVID went? We have no hospitals in Rogers Park. We go to St. Francis, which is in Evanston.
Yes.
Right? And we weren't allowed to get COVID shots. We weren't allowed to get Evanston COVID shots. So we had to really shuffle around to get our COVID shots because we don't have a hospital up here. It'd be nice. It would be nice to have a Weiss hospital up here, wouldn't it?
Yes. So the people in Rogers Park, they had to go to the Weiss Hospital to get their shots.
Oh, they could go to Weiss. They could go anywhere in the city to get the shots, but they couldn't go out of the city to get the shots because that was one of the barriers they put up.
Yes, well, I understand right now they could, but in the beginning it was very hard, and at that time, people needed their shots, so we just didn't know where people in Rogers Park. Did a lot of the people in Rogers Park in the beginning go to Weiss Hospital for their shots? I was wondering.
Mine in Swedish.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Howard Brown kind of took on it too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They couldn't handle the load at all. It was, Rogers Park is big.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And important, right, Trudy? Rogers Park is important.
What is the next step? How can listeners get involved?
Call your alderperson. Let them know that what's going on with Weiss Hospital is causing more gentrification. It's causing property values to go up and pricing people out of their neighborhoods. And it's important that no matter what ward they are in, that this is an important issue that needs to be resolved, and it needs to be resolved in the people's favor. No parking lot should be sold. No Weiss parking lot should be sold from Pipeline to Lincoln property or to anybody else. It needs to stay exactly where it is. Leave Weiss Hospital alone.
Okay. So Pipeline wants to sell it to Lincoln property. So once they sell it, do they still have a stake in it, or is it totally shift? Would the ownership totally shift?
The ownership will shift, but Lincoln property won't buy it until it's rezoned for their use to build the unit. So they won't be able to sell it if it's not rezoned.
And also, you mentioned earlier that equity firms are buying hospitals and then selling them or closing them down. So that is going on throughout the country, and the equity firms are eyeing hospitals. Do you have any idea why hospitals are targeted? Is it because they are big and more valuable than the price that they pay for them? What do you have any insight?
Well, my insight is that hospitals, for the most part, especially the safety net hospitals, are operating at a loss. They can't really cover their bills. Mm-hmm. And the private equity partners can come in and buy them and say, oh, everything's going to be fine. We're going to pay the bills and we're going to make the hospitals better. Mm-hmm. I know Tenet, that just left the city of Chicago, just bought 22 hospitals in Texas. It's a trend. It's a trend. Mm. Since all this started, and I think Cappleman was kind of in Philadelphia was kind of the first one. It was a signal to every vulture fund on Wall Street that they can do the same thing. Mm-hmm. In community after community after community, and nope.
What's the name of the firm in Philadelphia?
Oh, it was Cappleman Hospital.
Cappleman.
Yeah, and it was supposedly, I don't know if it was always, but it was a for-profit hospital that wasn't making a profit. So there's a lot of wheeling and dealing went about it, and then somebody was in charge of it, and somebody wasn't in charge of it, and then they sold it to an equity firm, and that equity firm sold it to another equity firm. And what these equity firms do also is they build shell companies. So you can't even tell who's on first. You don't know who's running the store, because they have just all these shell corporations. There's nothing that, it's a shell. It has nothing. It's how they deflect the power that they have. It's like landlords. They do the same thing. Big landlords.
Mm-hmm. Just explain to our listeners, those that don't understand, how shell companies help the real owners.
They hide the real owners. So like I was renting property, and the name of the property was, I can't remember what the name of the property was, but it was owned by an LLC, limited liability corporation, which was a shell company. The real owner was WF Management in Evanston. But you wouldn't know that. I lived there 9 years, and every year they would change the name of who was owning it. And on the building, they say who owns it, and so they would say something LLC. Well, they weren't the real owners. And even the manager, it's just a management company. The real owner was Camille Halim, a person owned this. All of these things, that had all these shell companies. And that's a shell company, a shell, if you think of a shell, it has a form and it's empty inside. It has no value. And if you put enough shells around, you can't see the mollusk that owns all those shells. You just a shell.
So I guess they have the shell company to deflect blame. So were the conditions very bad, and then they did not want to address those conditions, or even if they did know the owner, the owner still would not be liable? What do you have any insight on that?
I do, I moved. I moved, it was terrible. We had black mold. We had windows that still had wood frames, which I believe is against city code, I'm not sure. They were warped. Some would open, some you could open, some you couldn't close. The black mold, I was sick all the time. For 9 years, I put up with this. They would come in about the black mold, and they would, the first time they scraped the mold off and then painted over it. The second time they came in, they just painted over it. And that's not how you get rid of mold. And, you know, mold is a very serious health issue. So I finally, I got out there. I got out of there because I broke my lease. I went out one day in the winter at 10:30 in the morning, and it snowed, and they hadn't shoveled, and I fell, and I hurt myself. I broke my hand, and they let me out of the lease, I think, so I wouldn't sue them because I couldn't.
Mhm. Well, they actually formed a shell company so that when they do get sued, when they are involved in lawsuits, then the opposing side cannot find who the real owner is.
Exactly. Like if I had a problem bigger than our manager in our building, you had to catch our manager on the fly. 9 times out of 10, they'd run in maybe at 10 o'clock at night to pick up something or drop off something in the office, and they'd leave. You'd never see the building manager. Mm-hmm. I would call every year, every winter, didn't have heat. And I'd call up and say, I don't have heat. And then the person said, well, the heat is on. And I said, well, my radiators are cold. I'm not getting heat. Oh, okay, I'll have him check it. And so when he checked it, sometimes we get heat then because, you know, something had happened. But every year it was, oh, a part is broken on the boiler. And, you know, we have to wait for the part to come in. They save a lot of money by not heating those buildings, and mostly on the weekends. On the weekends, that's when you didn't get your heat, because the city's not working on the weekend. You can't complain to the city on the weekend because nobody's going to come out. I nailed them once, though. I kept calling. I kept calling 311, and eventually, I was home, and the inspector came in, and I had no heat. And he recorded, he said, okay, they're in violation. So I caught him once in 9 years. I was pretty proud of myself, actually.
And when they're in violation, is there any enforcement? How does anything change, even though they're in violation?
Oh, they have to pay a fine for every day that they're in violation. So they fix it pretty darn quick. I don't know what the fine is that they have to pay, but they're charged a fine. So I think it's kind of hefty because the city doesn't like it when people don't get heat.
Right.
They really don't. That's one of their good things that they do.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. It's about heat. And hot water too. I caught them once about hot water. I didn't have hot water. Mm-hmm. I had lukewarm water, but I had to boil the water to wash my dishes because, you know, lukewarm water doesn't clean grease off or anything.
Right.
So I nailed them on that too. Like all kind of heating issues. And as far as the mold goes, nobody seemed to care about that or anything. Mm-hmm. But I kept getting sicker and sicker. I had to go. And then after I broke my hand, it was like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Right. Oh no, I can't deal with this anymore.
Okay, let's get a little clearer information about where the listeners should go if they want to help. And that is on Thursday. Today is the 12th, so it would be on the 15th. And where and when?
Okay, it's the there's so many windows open here to tell you where things are. it's the Chicago Plan Commission for Park Districts and LPO applications. I don't know what LPO means, but LPO means Lakefront Protection Ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
It's to ensure the protection of Chicago lakefront. I don't have a telephone number for them, but
Chicago Planning Foundation, did you say? Or commission? I can't read my writing over here.
Chicago Plan Commission. It's a commission.
Okay.
For park districts
Mm-hmm.
and the lakefront protection ordinance.
Mm-hmm. And what time?
It will be, the testimony will be giving, and I guess I hope they're going to Zoom it. It's a Zoom session, but I don't know if they're opening it up to the public or not. But we're having a rally in front of City Hall at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Everybody's invited to come if they really think this is important, like I do.
Mm-hmm.
they can come down and join us and hoot and holler and do whatever we do to call attention to I see this as a fight, two fights. The fight against gentrification, moving people out where they've lived all their lives, and a matter of healthcare, getting healthcare in a area that needs community healthcare.
Also, mm-hmm. Yes.
It's two fights.
Two fights. Earlier, we were discussing the aldermen who would be able to help. So they would be the ones that are sitting on the committee. Is it the chair that chooses who sits on the committee?
The mayor chooses everybody who's on the committee.
Okay.
Just like she chooses everybody who's on the the non-elected school board.
Okay. So she chooses not only the chair of the committee, she chooses the committee members as well.
I don't know. I don't think he is a committee member. I don't think he writes, but he is an alderman, and he knows how to get information through the city council informally.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about the State Senator Mike Simmons, or are you talking about the Alderman Byron Sichel Lopez?
No, I really just mentioned Mike Simmons because I was impressed that a state senator would come out in support of what we were doing, but he's not part of the process. He's one of us. He's one of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of nice to say. State senator's one of us. That's cool.
Yes, because he was active in the community before he became a state senator. So he's been in the fight before.
Yes, he has. He understands. And he lives in Uptown.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, do you know whether there are other hospitals in Chicago that are facing the same situation?
I think there are other hospitals that are at risk. I did mention West Suburban, which is in Oak Park, but it's really it covers some of the Austin area.
And Pioneer Pipeline.
Colorado Hospital is in trouble, I would guess. and they're very corrupt. Loretto, L-O-R.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we know about Mercy Hospital. That's gone by the way. Any of these safety net hospitals are in danger. Now, what has happened is the governor has an executive order that no hospitals are allowed to close during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as the pandemic exists, we get to keep our hospitals. Kind of crazy.
Okay.
But at least we've got that.
Right. So the when you earlier you mentioned that it's a good deal for the equity firms to come in because these hospitals are so desperate for cash that and they're so deep in debt that they want to sell at a low price just to get out. So that's why these equity firms want to buy hospitals instead of other real estate.
Yeah, yes. And also when you think about it, the hospitals, you know how they say location, location, location. Hospitals are generally like in the center of communities. Mm-hmm. And that's a great location for if you're looking to have real estate. Mm-hmm. Some of those hospitals, they have all these bedrooms and stuff. They probably could be converted into luxury housing. Look at Stewart School in Uptown, right across the street from James Cappleman's office. That was a public school that got closed. And we had community meeting after community meeting about what we would do about the building. And we came up with 3 different things, but every one of the things said we want something for the community in there, some community space, and we didn't get it. Stewart School was sold to Morningside, and now Stewart School is luxury lofts, L-O-F-T-S, lofts. And I think they're like $5,000 a unit. I don't know. They go by square foot because they're lofts, so they can build however they want. And it's all I've seen a change already in the economy just in the area. I go to that Aldi that's there at Sunnytown and Broadway sometimes, and the prices are a lot higher than they are at like in the one near Granville.
For the same product, or are there products more upscale?
For the same product.
Well, that's interesting to know.
Yeah, that is it. And Dunkin Donuts. You want me to tell you about Dunkin Donuts?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Dunkin Donuts, depending on where you go, you pay a different price for the same thing. If you buy something at the Belmont Red Line station, because that's a very gentrified area, you'll pay $1.50 more for like a drink. I used to get the refreshers. It was $1.50 more, and I didn't order it because it was $1.50 more. I live up here at Morse, and so I bought it for $1.50 less. It just had me thirsty for a while. It's, this matter of gentrification is significant. It's significant because, Dunkin Donuts is a chain and you think, oh, well, if I get a coffee here, it's going to be the same as the coffee there. Well, no, location, location, location.
And Pipeline owns Weiss Memorial Hospital, Westlake, and also West Suburban Medical Center. All 3 of them are under their ownership.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Okay, let's do a community assessment with you as well. We did it before, but things changed. So Wizard Chicago, being a nonprofit radio station, must be responsible to the community we serve. WZRD is mandated to file quarterly issues with the FCC a non-entertainment community-focused programming. We like to assess the community for these quarterly issue topics with 3 questions. First, what is most important to you?
To me, I would say housing is the most important. If you don't have a roof over your head, you don't have anything else. You don't have health, you don't have a place to eat, nothing. Okay, that's what's important to me.
Second, what long-term problem must we address?
We have to address, right now, we have to address universal health care. That's what we have to address.
What problem must be resolved now?
We need to increase our public health departments. Public health is about preventing illness. Mm-hmm. And our public health department in Chicago has been decimated for years. And it's affected how we got our vaccines. It affects how we know about illnesses, how to avoid them, what kind of vaccines we need to get. It's not doing its job. I'm on the community mental health board, and we meet once a month with the city we have 5 mental health clinics left. Out of years ago, we had like 21 of them, and bit by bit they got cut down. We have 5 left, and we make sure that they're adequately staffed. We ask questions about how the clients are served. Are they happy with what they're getting? Are they getting enough? The mental health centers are supposedly a stepping stone, like out for the people who get out of jail because they've been in there because of mental health issues. The city clinics are supposed to follow them, as well as Cook County. I mean, either entity, they're supposed to follow them to see that they get the help that they need. And
what does it happen then?
It doesn't, they don't do it, and they end up back in jail.
And what if they don't do it, there's no enforcement, right? If they're required to do it,
but people don't know that we pay taxes. We pay taxes for this public health system that it's not being used for public health. It's being used for other things.
For what?
Oh, I don't even know. I have no idea, but I know what it's not being used for, Trudy.
Has there any been...
It's gotta be increased. We gotta have a better public health department. Mm-hmm. People don't understand the difference between health and public health. Public health, are things that affect the entire population. Health is kind of a singular type thing. Public health ties it all together and makes sure that the population stays healthy. Mm-hmm. And we're not healthy, Trudy. We are not healthy.
Do we have a paper trail about what funds are available to be used for public health? And then exactly how those funds are used and where all those funds go?
We really need, we can FOIA the information. We can FOIA Freedom of Information Act. We can ask them to account for the money that they spent. And I don't know, that it gets, I always kind of hope that the press will do it. because there's a big people. They and the lawyers will FOIA for information too. And when you file for a Freedom of Information Act, you're going to get a lot of pushback. They have to answer you. So like you'll send in something and they'll say, yeah, we got it. And they have a certain amount of time, I don't know what it is because I don't do it, to respond. And sometimes they'll say, well, we need more time. So then they're allowed so much more time. And then if you get anything at all, it's like redacted beyond belief. So a lot of times you don't even get what you need. As far though as budgets go and spending, that's gettable. That's gettable.
You mean that's if someone were to FOIA that, there should be information that is available, but it just depends on whether they'll release it or not.
That's right. Well, it's public information. I mean, it is public information, and they have to release it. And if they don't release it, they have to have a darn good reason for not doing it. But Trudy, sometimes you have to fight with them for years to get it. And that's why it's not being done that much, because it's so darn hard to get any of the information. And it's, then like usually if it were you or me, we'd have to probably get a lawyer involved, and that costs money, and they're not going to pay you for your costs incurred to get this information that they're supposed to give you in the first place. So I think they should have to pay for that, but that's just my humble opinion.
You said that who needs to pay for that? The government, for the fees that people would incur by asking a lawyer to help FOIA. Is that what you said?
Yeah, no, they don't. They won't cover that. And I think they should. I think they should. What do you think?
Of course, that would be a much easier. But what level of government is in charge of the funds that go toward the public health? Is it federal? Is it state? Is it local? Or is it all money derived from federal funds?
It's all entities. The city has their own public health department. Any entity that has a public health department, they're locally, they have a responsibility. And then the state has like an oversight responsibility to make sure that the whole state is covered, because there are a lot of places that don't have public health departments. And so the state has to supplement what the places that don't have public health departments, little places, right? The rural places, they don't have public health departments. So they need help from the state. And then the state has to get funds from the federal government to implement what they need. And it's a step thing. I know one thing, like so Chicago is in Cook County. This still gets me. Chicago is in Cook County, and the Cook County system, you could not get a vaccination from Cook County because you had to get it in Chicago. The law is that if you live in a place that has a public health department, that's where you have to get your services. So even though we're in Cook County, it doesn't count because we're in Chicago. Evanston's the same way. They had to take care of their own. They got so many COVID shots. And that's why they couldn't give it to anybody that lived on the south side of Howard Street, which is Chicago. One side of the street is Evanston, the other side of the street is Chicago.
Did they mention why? Is it on account of their funds could only be used for their own jurisdiction?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Well,
Interesting, huh?
Well, Kathy Powers, community activist, thank you so much for shedding some light on equity firms acquiring hospitals such as Weiss Hospital, and how gentrification comes about, and how the public officials, many public officials, work to forward the gentrification instead of helping the residents get enough affordable housing. I did have that question. I don't know if you answered it, but there was that in the Alderman Cappleman said that the more housing units, including luxury units, helps to stabilize rents, and that was I think I asked you that. Do you have any idea what he meant by that?
I think my interpretation of what he said was that'll stabilize high rent. That will stabilize richer people in the community. That's what he wants. That's what he wants. And well, too bad if you're poor and you've lived there for, your family has lived there for decades. Mm-hmm. Too bad you're not rich. Go away.
Mm-hmm. I see.
And you can see it all over uptown. It's like, I know some professors at UIC. In fact, I'm going to give them your name because they just did a piece on WBEZ, which was very interesting, and they were originally talking just about areas that have been taken over by other factions, and when they hit uptown, uptown was like such a good illustration of what happens and what is happening. I will give you their names. I'll introduce you an email. How's that?
Sounds good.
I'm sure they'd like to talk to you. Mm-hmm. And listen, I want to give a shout out to Northeastern. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful university. I kind of wanted to go there myself. My best psychologist I ever had taught there, and I'm so glad that this radio station is improving now. Every day, Trudy, I want you to mention the Medicare for All March downtown on July 24th, 11 a.m. Every day, because
July 24th, right? July 24th?
July 24th, 11 a.m.
Okay. And again, the location?
On the radio talking about it, you're excused. If not, I want to see you there.
And the location again is just so that
Daily Park.
Maggie Daily Park. Okay.
Right, and that's at Randolph. It's up the hill. It's right across the street from the big Blue Cross Blue Shield building. That was kind of my suggestion to start it there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the name of the march, it's going to be a march or a rally?
It's a march.
A march.
March
okay.
For Medicare for all.
March for Medicare for all. Okay.
And it's countrywide. Everybody's going to be marching.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a little bit on the organizing of that, and it's very interesting, the things that you have to think about. We're particularly making sure that our rally is accessible friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working with Access Living about that to get suggestions on what we can do to help people who have disabilities. My personal interest is that they have an accessible porta potty.
Mhm.
I have
Yeah.
my priorities, Trudy, you know.
Mhm. Right here, yeah, I think my notes over here just said that when we were talking about FOIA, and then you mentioned that some of the entities or whatever were taken over by other factions, and that made it hard to uh, to to FOIA well. Do you still remember what you meant by that?
Well, if a private entity owns something,
Mhm.
you can't FOIA them.
I
You can
see.
only FOIA what the government does.
Mhm.
So if the government has spent money, given money for services, the city of Chicago does it all the time, which is why we don't have public health much. You can know that they gave X amount of dollars to a company, but you can't ask that company how they spent that money.
I see.
Now the city has a stewardship to oversee that, make sure that the company is doing what they're supposed to do with this, but the company doesn't have to. The
Mhm.
company does not have to, and nobody's watching the store security. Just us activists, we're watching the store, but the people who are supposed to be watching the store have left the doors open.
So what you're saying is that when the private companies use these public funds, they're not responsible for using them the way that they're supposed to. Let's say that they don't. There aren't, and there's no enforcement
That's
from the
right.
city. Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And we were talking about public health and mental health. So any private firms hired by the city to assist with implementing public health services or mental health services, if they do not do their job, they don't have to face, would not be facing fines, and they would not have to face any enforcement because there is no enforcement available, right?
That's right. That's right. What would happen if there was enforcement and they were found to be negligent in what they're supposed to do? How it would be like they get a warning and they get a time period to make things better. And if they didn't, then the government would stop the contract with that entity. They wouldn't get any more money. They wouldn't get any more money to, and I don't suppose it had to pay back. I don't know. I don't know. That's a legal issue. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just an activist.
Well, we understand that. It was just that maybe you've been advocating for public health and mental health issues for so long, for longer than we've known you, and maybe you've seen how private companies flout the rules because that's how that's a lot of the mental health services are privatized, and once they are privatized, they might be able to flout the rules, and then they do not have to account. There's no enforcement against them, unless maybe perhaps if someone were to be injured or to die at their hands, then perhaps, but not the. I don't know for certain. Would they have to face the music? Would they have to face any enforcement on account of that? And let me do a station ID. This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we've had a very informative interview, and it's almost over, but not over yet, with Kathy Powers, community activist about how private equity firms buy hospitals and do not do not use those hospitals to help the patients, but just to make money. So the question was enforceability. If something were to happen to one of the patients, that for private firms, that the city or some governmental entity has hired to perform mental health services or public health services. If a patient were to be injured or die from that care or lack of care, is there any enforcement against the private firm?
No.
Okay.
I would imagine that, you know, if that person has a family, the family could sue for wrongful death, but it would never come to the city level. That's why the city's getting rid of, that's why they give them the private firm, so it's off their backs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very lazy legislating, I think.
And do you know if attorneys generals file cases against these private firms for any medical negligence? Have you seen that before?
I have.
Okay. Well, Kathy, keep your eyes open and then continue being the great community activist that you are, and good luck to you in all your work. Thank you so much for interviewing with me on WZRD today.
Thank you for having me, Trudy. July 24th, Medicare for All, 11 o'clock, Maggie Daly Park. You'll say that every day, every day.
Okay, and either do you have allies in other cities around the country? How big is this movement?
It's big. It's
okay.
big. It's very big.
Well, maybe we'll have another interview in the future and we'll discuss that more in depth.
Yeah, I'm not the person. We got Medicare for All people who know better than I, but it could be bigger, Trudy. That's all I can say. It's big, but it could be bigger. Mm-hmm. And if you say this every day, you'll make it bigger.
Okay.
I'm always organizing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thanks, Trudy.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Kathy Powers.
I'll send you that email.
Okay.
That project at UIC.
Okay.
Pretty. Right. Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM, and we have been reflecting on simplicity. And we just finished an interview with Kathy Powers. Let us continue with another track from Val Levendahl. We had Life is a Cup about simplicity. But now, since we have had this interview with Kathy, let us listen to the next two tracks, Ball and Chain, and then also Shine. From Val Levendahl's album, Roots and Flowers.